Hi guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we will learn how to create a weather app using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And this is going to be a very good project for your resume or portfolio. Here you can see we have a search box here in which we can enter any city name. Let me enter any other city name like Paris and we will search for it. So let me enter another city name here like Mumbai. So you can see it will update all of the information as we search for city name, including the weather image, temperature, wind speed and humidity. Add another city name here, like we can enter Lahore. So you can see it is updating all of the information. So let me add here another city name, Karachi. So as you can see, it is updating all of the weather information according to the city name, including temperature, its PNG, its wind speed and everything. Please hit that like button and also subscribe our channel. Now let's start the video. On my desktop, I have created a folder. Here I have 3 files, one HTML file, one CSS file and one JavaScript file. We can easily create them in our code editor also. And here I have a folder by the name of images. In this folder I have some PNG images which we are going to use in this project. So I will provide you a link to these images and I will also provide you free source of code. You can simply download all of this material from link in description. So now I am going to open this folder in our code editor. I am using Visual Studio Code, but you can use any code editor which you like. Here in Visual Studio Code you can see our folder is opened in Explorer. Let's open this HTML file and close this Explorer. So we will start with this HTML file and first of all we will write our boilerplate code. For that you can simply write a exclamation mark and press tab. All of our boilerplate code will be written and I am writing its title as weather app. So now I will make this VS Code Windows small and open this file in our browser. For this I am using live server application which will open our file in Chrome. So I will put this browser tab here side with Visual Studio Code so we can see the output and see the changes we are making in our project. So as you can see, the title of our page is updated and we can see it here. So now we will open our CSS file and first of all we are going to remove all of the padding from elements before even writing them. So in our CSS we will write this star and we will give it a margin 0 and we will also do it padding 0 and I am going to select a font family also. So we are actually writing this code in advance and applying it on all elements. So for font family I am going to use Poppins. You can use whatever you like. In case if Poppins is not available we will use sans serif. Actually we have to write capital letter here and I will give it a box sizing and set it to border box. So save it. All of these properties will be applied on all of the elements in our HTML. So now we are going to link this CSS file with our HTML. Actually this code is going out of window here. For that I will go here to view and word wrap it so we can see all of the code here. To link our CSS file with this index.html we will use our link tab and in here hrefs we will write name of our style sheet, so which is style.css. Actually here by mistake I have put it 2 dots, so I am gonna rename it and remove one extra dot from here. So save and we will remove it also from here. This line will connect our CSS with our HTML and here we have the title of our page which is weather app. So we can also see here weather app in our output. So now after this we will go to our CSS and start styling our body. So we will select body tab and first of all I am going to give it a background color. For that I will use background and for background I am using this color code #222. So we will save it and you can see our background is changed. So now we will come to our HTML tag and create a div. So we will create it by writing a dot and give it a class name card. So press tab, and here we have a div element with class card. So first of all, I am going to create here a search box. For that we will add a divider here by name search. So within this search box we have to create a search box and a search button. So for text box we will be using input and its type is going to be text. So save it. So actually you can see here we have a input box. Now here we will add a placeholder in case when there is no value in this search box, the default value will be shown here as a text. So I will add here a placeholder text which is going to be enter city name. So save it. This placeholder text is now displayed in our input box. For this I am going to add spell check and make it false. In next line I am going to add a button. So we will use button. This button is going to be actually our search button. So we have to enter here a search icon. For that we will add a image tag here. So I will add a image tag here, and source is going to be this our folder. In this images folder I have a png named by search. So we are going to use it as our search button. So I am going to use images folder, and in images folder I am going to use this search.png. So we will save it, and now you can see we have a search box and a search button. So let's move it to a new line just to make it look clean. As now we have here a class name, so we will use it for styling. For that we will write dot card. So this will actually target all of our card div element. Now let's add some properties to this card. First of all we will give it a width which is going to be 90%, max width 470 pixels. For its background we will be using a gradient. For that I will use a linear gradient and give it these values 135 degrees, and we will use this color code 00FEBA, comma, and our another color is going to be 5B548A. We will also give it a color property and set it to white. For that we will use actually 6F. Its margin is going to be 100 px auto. For border radius I am going to give it a border radius of 20 pixels. We will give it padding. So padding is going to be 40 px 35 px. Text alignment we will set it to center. Now save it. So actually I also forgot to put a hash here. Now we will save. Now you can see we have a background color here in our card class div element. So now we are going to edit this search box in our CSS. If we come back to our HTML, we can see we have a class search here. So we will use this class here dot class dot search. For this class we will add width, and width is going to be 100%. We will add display and set it to flex. Then we will add align items and set it to center. Justify content space between. So by using this display type flex, and we are aligning our items in center and justifying content by using space between. By using this, the input field and search button will be aligned horizontally side by side. So now we will save it. Now you can see these are showing side by side in a line. After that we will use this same class search, and we are going to edit input field. In class search we will target input. I am going to remove the border of this input field. For that I am going to set border to 0. So now you can see the border is removed, but when I came here and click, there is a outline. So I am going to remove also this outline. So for that we will select outline and give it value 0. Save. Now you can see there is no outline. Now I will give it a background. For background I am using this color code EBFFC. We will also add some padding here, padding of 10 pixels, and from another side we will add 20 px. So save it. Now you can see the padding is applied. I'm going to give it some height also. So height is going to be 60 pixels. Save it. Now you can see the height is increased. Corner of this input field are very sharp. I am going to give them some radius. So for that we will use border radius and set it to 60 pixels. Save it. And now you can see we have beautifully rounded corners. So we are going to flex it and set the value to 1. And also we are going to give it a margin from right hand side. So we will use margin right and give it value 16 pixels. And I am also going to increase this font size. So font size is going to be 18 pixels. So save it. Now you can see all of changes are applied. I think now it's looking good. So now let's design this search button. So we will use here same class name search, and this time we will be targeting our button element. So here we will also do some copy paste work because I am also going to remove its border outline and background is going to be white. So I will copy this code and use same elements here. Save it. Now you can see we don't have any border or outline here. Now I am going to give it a border radius of 50%. When we give value 50% to border radius, the element actually become a circle. So when we save it, you can see the border is looking like a circle. Next we will add width and height, both 60 pixels. So we have given it width and here we will give it height 60 pixels. Save it. Now you can see this is looking better. So now I want when I put my cursor on it, it will become a hand. So for that we will use cursor and adjust it to pointer. Save it. So now when my cursor is here, it is showing a hand. Now you can see this image is not looking as good in this button element. So we will use again this search button and target the image element in this search button class. So we will use here image and target the image element. First of all we will add width and width is going to be 16 pixels. Save it. Actually I am going to set it to something like 19 pixels. Save it. So now it's looking more good. Now after this we have to show the weather information of any city. So first of all we will enter just any random details and then we will edit it and replace it by information coming from our API. So for that we will come back to our HTML and after this search we will add another div element and give it class weather. So press tab. Now we have here a class by name weather. So inside this weather class we will actually add a image element. So first of all I am going to give it any random image. Like in our images folder I am going to use rain.png. We can use actually any random image and we will change it later according to the weather. And here we will add a class name. So class is going to be weather icon. So let's save it. Now you can see we have a weather image here. So after this we will be showing temperature. For that I am going to use a h1 element, and this h1 element I am going to also create a class by name temp. So we have a h1 element and a class temp, basically mean temperature. For now we will enter here a random number like 20 degrees Celsius. So we have actually 20C here and we can use the degree sign from Google. So degree Celsius we will search on internet and we will copy this sign from here just to make it easy. So I will paste it here. Now you can see we have written here 20 degrees Celsius. If we save it, now we have our temperature here. After this we are going to display the city name, and for that I am using h2 and also making a class in it. So we will actually give class name city. So we have here a h2 element with class city, and here we will write any random city name. So for now I am just starting here London. So save it. Now you can see the city name is also displaying in our weather body. Now we have to add some more things like humidity and wind speed and their values. So after this h2 we will make another class by name details. So press tab. We have here a div with class details. In this details we have to actually create two columns. So we will make a div element with class call. So press enter, and this first one I am going to add a image img, and file path is going to be our images folder, and in this image folder I will be using this humidity.png. So actually I don't need here alternative text for now. So after this we are going to enter some text here. So we will make a div element here, and in this we will using a paragraph element, p element, p dot, and making a class in it by name humidity. So press tab. Now we have a p element with class humidity. For now, to add just a filler, add randomly any number. So I am going to add 40%. So save it. So now you can see we have a humidity png here and the value of humidity like 40%. So after this I am going to add another p element and write here simply text humidity, just to display here that this 40% is actually humidity. So I will save it. So now you can see we have written 40% humidity. So after this, just copy this whole class and duplicate it, means copy and paste it just after it. For that I will use shortcut Shift Alt and arrow down key. So now you can see we have copied all of the selected lines here. So first of all I am going to here update the image. It is going to be wind.png. We will also change this class name and write it wind, and we are also going to update this text by wind speed, and here we will add value something like 15 km/h. So you can use actually any value. We will change it according to weather in our JavaScript. So save it. Now you can see we have wind icon and wind speed text and wind speed actually written here. Now we are going to style it with CSS. So in this class weather we have a image element with class name weather icon. So we are going to just copy it and use it in CSS and paste it. So it is going to be dot weather icon, and we will now style it. First of all we are going to give it a width which is going to be 170 pixels. Then we are going to add some margin, but we will add the margin from top. So I will use a margin top and give it value 30 pixels. So now after this we have the title in h1 and h2 elements. So actually within this class weather.icon, so actually it was in weather. So we will add it here and target h1, and let's edit it. Let's add the font size. It is going to be 80 pixels. Font weight is going to be 500. So we will actually duplicate it again by using Ctrl Alt and arrow down. Now we are going to target h2 element. For that I will write here h2, and for this h2 element the font is going to be 45 pixel and font weight is going to be 400. We are going to also give it a margin from top. So I will use margin top minus 10 pixels as its value. So let's save it. Now you can see changes are applied. Now the size for our weather icon and temperature and city is perfect. Now let's come back to the HTML, and we have here class name details. Copy it, and now we will edit this in our CSS. So we will use a dot details and edit it. First of all I am going to do it display and set it to flex, because we have to make two columns, align items to center, and we are going to justify content and set it value to space between, just to make sure that our wind speed and humidity shows in two columns side by side and there is space between them. So we will save it, and now you can see we have our humidity on left side and wind speed and its icon on right side, and there is space in between them. Now we are going to give it some padding. For that we will use padding and 0 from top and bottom and 20 pixel from left and right. So we will save it. Now you can see we have applied some padding from left and right. Now if we look at it, it feels like it is very close to this city text. So we will add some padding from top to give them some space. For that we will use a margin top, and we will give it a margin like 50 pixels. Save it. Now you can see we have some space between the city name and these elements. Now we need to update the size of these icons and this text. So let's come back to HTML. For that we are going to hit these column classes within this detail class. So let's come back to our CSS, and I will copy just details class from here, and in this detail class we will target dot column. So actually we don't need this detail class here. We can directly target this column class. First of all, I am going to give it a display type and set it to a flex. And I am going to also use here align items and set it to center, and we will text align. So I will use a text align and set it to left. Now if we save it, now actually we have to edit these PNGs mean icons. For that we have to use dot call class, and within this call class we have to target image element, and we are going to now edit these images. Its width is going to be actually 40 pixels, and we will give it a margin from right side, and this is going to be 10 px. Now let's save it. Now you can see these are looking good. Now it's time to add some CSS for this 40% and 15 km/h. So let's come back to HTML, and we have class name humidity for these text and wind for wind text. So we will style it. First of all, I am going to edit this humidity, and I will copy this and target this in my HTML. So paste here, and we will now edit it. So actually we can target both of them here by separating them by comma. So humidity comma dot wind. In this way we will be targeting both of them and styling both of them together. Here we are going to update the font size, and font size is going to be 20 pixels, and we will also give it margin from top, which is going to be margin top -6 pixels. Now save it. Now you can see the text size is also increased, and we also have given it margin -6 pixels. So at this point this design is looking perfect. Now we have to update the weather information. For that we are going to use a API. So open Google and search here open weather map, and open the official website of Open Weather. So the name of website is openweathermap.org. So open this website. So after opening this website, you have to create a new account on this website. This is going to be completely free. So as you can see, I have already created and logged into my account. If you don't already have a account for this website, you will see here a sign in option, and simply on clicking sign in option, you will get a menu to sign into this website. And if you don't have a account, you can simply click on sign up and create a new account for this website. So after signing into this website with your account, you can come here and click on this arrow and click on my API keys. So here by default they give you a free API key. As you can see, I have a free API key here, and its status is active. Maybe when you will create a new account, it may show your key status as deactive or non-activated. So you don't need to worry about it. Just wait 1 or 2 hours and they will activate your key. Not always, but sometime when you will create a new account, they active your key after 1 or 2 hours. But in most cases, the key is activated in 1 to 2 minutes. So we will use this API key in our code file. Now here in navigation tab, you can see API. Now open this in a new tab. Scroll down and find current weather data. In current weather data, click on API doc. Now here you can scroll down and find for built-in data by city name. So here we have built-in API request by city name. In this, just copy this URL and paste it in a new tab URL. Here we have to add a city name, and here we have to add the API key, which was here. So first of all, we will add a city name like Lahore, and here we will enter the API key. So we will come here and copy this API key. So select this and copy and paste it here. Now press enter. So here we can see all of the data coming from this API. Basically our location or city is Lahore. We also have here temperature. This is not in actually degrees Celsius. We will convert it later. And we also have here wind speed, and here we have humidity. Now here if you create a new account, another sign is that if your API key is not activated, and maybe it will show you a error message saying API key not valid or API key not activated. In this case you can wait a couple of minutes and your API key will be activated. Now first thing we want to do is change this unit temperature, because this is not in Celsius, this is in standard unit. So we have to change it to Celsius unit, mean metric unit. So let's come back to this website. So to update the unit, we can see here on this website the standard unit is applied by default. So we have to change it to metric unit. To apply this, just come to this website and write here is equal to METRIC metric. Now if we press enter, so in this case we can see the temperature in Celsius. Now we want to show it in our app. So for that we will copy this URL and we will come back to our code file. I will extend this. Now let's come back to our HTML. So now I am actually maximizing this window for some time, so we have more space to work in code. Here where the last divider is ending, we will add the script here and we will write script, and here is the opening tag of our script and this is the closing tag. So in this script we need to now make a variable with the const keyword. We will give it a name, name is going to be API key, and set it equal to, and put here double quotes. In these double quotes we will paste the link which we have copied. So paste it. So here we will create again a variable with keyword const, and it is going to be for our API URL. So I have given it the name API URL, and we will set it equal to API URL. So I will paste it here. Now here actually we need to only paste the API key, not full link. And here in API URL we will keep only URL, not API key. Now from here we will remove this API key. So I will select it and cut it from here and paste it here. Now come here and remove this app ID and also remove this city. Now at its end we will add a city here. So I will use and add a city name Q is equal to Lahore. After this, here we will add a async function. The name for this function is going to be check weather. Here we need to put a space. Here we will add a const and name it response and set it equal to await. And here we will use fetch function. Now in this fetch function we are going to add the URL. For that we will just use this variable in which our URL is stored. So I will copy this and paste it here. So after this API URL we need to add the API key. Remember when we added the URL in browser, at the end we added API key at the end of that URL. So we will add API key here. For that we will add a plus sign here, and here we will use backticks. So this is not quotes, these are backticks. You can find these backticks a symbol just below the escape key, so it will be left side of number 1. And here we will write and app ID is equal to $, and here we will use curly brackets, and in these curly brackets we will paste this API key. In next line we will add where data is equal, here we will choose await and response. With response we will dot response dot JSON. So now this variable data have all of the information about our weather for this city, let's say Lahore or whatever city we will write here. Now it's time to display this data on our website. For that I will use here console.log and pass here data, and now we will call this function. So copy and call this function just here where our script file is ending. So whenever our HTML file is going to be loaded, this check weather function is going to run automatically. So let's save it for now and come back to our weather app. So I will do it full screen. Now right click here and go to inspect, and in inspect click on console. Now click on this object. You can see this is displaying this information in JSON format in our browser console. Now here, if we expand this main, we have here name of the city, which was Lahore back in our script file. In this main section, we also have temperature, and in this weather section at index 0 in the main we have cloud and description, and here in wind we have wind speed. And one thing we will need is humidity. So humidity is also here in main. So now as we can see, our API is completely working and all of the information we need is available here. So now actually what we have to do is actually display this all of this information here in our app display. So let's come back to our code. So if we look up in our HTML, so here we have to update this temperature, city details and humidity, and as well as our wind according to the data which is coming live from our weather API. So now what we are going to do is select one by one these elements and update data in it. So for that we will come here in our script, and in script here in our check weather function we will add document dot query selector. We use query selector when we want to target the class. So we are actually calling our data by their class name, and first of all we are going to select here class city for our city name. So I will write here class dot city and dot inner HTML. So this inner HTML will update data in our HTML file and replace it by data coming from weather API. So here all of this element will select the city element, and this inner HTML element will update the data already we have written in city and replace it by data coming from our API. So inner HTML is equal to, and here we will add data which is coming from here, then we will write a dot here. So now let's come back to our web page once. So now we want to show the city name. If we look, where is city name? City name is here and it is in name. So we will write here data dot name. So this line will update the city name. Now duplicate it. Here we will add next one, which is our temperature, and we were using temp class for it. Now to get the temperature data, let's come back here. Where is temperature? So temperature is here actually in main. So it is going to main dot temp. So here we will add data dot main dot temp. So now you have understood how actually this data is coming into our script file and we are showing it in our weather app. So now again duplicate it. So here we will use our humidity, and humidity was also in main. So let's cross check it. So humidity is also here in main. We will use data dot main dot humidity. So let's copy and paste this also. So here we will write wind, and our wind was in actually here in wind and then again in speed. So we will use here data dot wind dot speed. So after adding all of this data, once save it. Now here we can see it is showing the correct data. The city is Lahore, temperature is 31.99 and humidity is something like 60 and wind speed is 3.9 kilometer. So now this information is actually showing on our page, but we want here the humidity should be in percentage, and with wind we have to use the kilometer per hour parameter, and for here we will write completely temperature and round about it and remove this decimal point from here, like it will only show 31 or 30, and we will also show here degrees Celsius sign to showcase that this temperature is actually in degrees Celsius. So to edit the temperature, let's come back, and after this temp we will add plus, and here we will write double quotes, and now let's come up here and we will copy degrees Celsius from here and paste it here. So here I will use smaller alphabet for my C. So with humidity we want to add the percentage sign. For that we will add a plus, and here we will write the percentage sign. In double quotes we'll write string. So this data already coming from our JSON file, coming from our API, that is already in string. So this JSON is already converting it into a string. So as we know, we can add a string to another string. So we have just added this string into this humidity string. So it will add both of them, and the humidity value and percentage sign will be looking together side by side. We will read it like humidity 30%. Now for speed, let's add a plus here and use double quotes and write here kilometer per hour. So before this we will add a space here. So now let's save it and come back to our weather app. So now you can see here we have degrees Celsius sign, and with our humidity we have percentage sign, and our wind speed is showing with kilometer per hour. Next we want to round about this temperature, so it will only show a integer value. So for that let's come back to our code. In this temperature line, add here math.round. Make sure to capitalize the initial letter of this math function. So we will write math.round and our brackets here, and put this data.main.temp into this bracket. So math.round, this is a inbuilt function in our JavaScript. It will round about the value to a integer. Now let's save it. Now let's come back, and you can see the temperature is now a whole value. It is only showing the weather information of a particular city which we have mentioned in our URL, but we want to show the weather data for all of the cities which we search here. So for that let's come back to our code, and we will remove this city name from our URL. In my case, the city name which I entered here is Lahore, so I will remove it. So now what we are going to do is we will add the city name through this check weather function. We will add here in check weather function city, and after that in this fetch function we will add API URL plus city and plus API key. Now whenever we will call this check weather function, we have to pass city name by this function. Now you will be thinking from where this city name will be come. This city name will become from our input field. So for that we will add two other variables here in our JavaScript. So we will add here const search box equal to document dot query selector, and here we will enter our class name. So here we have a class by the name of search. So in this we have our input and button. So we will paste that class here dot search. So in search, the city name is coming from our input field. So city name is coming from this input box. So we will mention here dot search, and here we will mention input, and here are our semicolon. So now we will duplicate this file, and here we will add search button. So I will give it name search btn, and here again we will mention our button element in our search class. So whenever someone will press this search button, the weather information mean the city information will be sent to this check weather function. So for that we must have to add a event listener on our search button. So just before our check weather function, we will write here search button dot add event listener. Basically by event listener we specify what will be happened if someone click on it. So we have added a event listener. So which event we want to listen for, that is click. So in this way we have added a event listener on our search button and our event type is click. Now after these double quotes of click, we will add a bracket, and after bracket we will use the arrow function. So here is our arrow function. After arrow function we will use these curly brackets. So in this function we will actually call this check weather function. So I will cut it from here and put in this function, and we can now remove the city from here, and here we will write search box dot value. So now you can see there are some red lines. It is due to because we have not written here a comma, so must add a comma here after our click double quotes. So basically this check weather is passing our city information to this URL whenever some will click on search button, and the information in our input field will be passed to our check weather function, and check weather function will pass that city information to this URL, and then it will collect all of this information according to that city. Let's save here and come back to our website. So here is our weather app, and once reload it. So at this point this is showing the default information which we have added in our HTML code. So if I search here a city name, for example Lahore, so it will show information according to Lahore weather. So humidity is at 100%, wind speed is mentioned here. Let's try another city. I will try this time Delhi. So search. So you can see all of the information is updating according to our city. Let's give it a final try. For example, give here New York. So this is updating temperature, our city name, humidity and wind speed. But at this point it is not updating our weather icon. So now we are going to update this PNG according to weather condition. For that, let's come back to our code. So here we will update the image according to weather situation. Let me come back once here, and if we expand this, if I expand this main, and in this main let me expand this weather, and we see in weather on index 0 we have here our weather condition which is mist for New York. If I write here Lahore and search, so now if we see for Lahore, you can see the weather situation for Lahore is clouds. So basically we are going to update our images according to this weather situations. Let's come back to our code. You can see I already have here a images folder in which I have different images for different weather situations. So I already told you that you don't need to worry about these images. I will provide you a link in description. You can download all of these images and my code from there for free. So now here we will add a if, and here we are going to add our weather condition. So weather condition is coming from our data dot. So you remember the weather condition is in weather, and index 0 it is in main. So we will write data dot weather, and in weather the index was 0, and in index 0 the weather condition was written in main. So we will write dot main. So this main will give us our weather condition. So we will set it equal to, first of all we will check if it is clouds. For that I will write here in double quotes clouds. So if it is clouds, then we will add here a cloud image. So for this we will be using our weather icon element from our HTML. So we have given it weather icon class. So I will copy it, and first of all we will make a variable for it. So I am making a const. So we will paste here the name weather icon. So actually in JavaScript we cannot use this dash in our variable name. So I will remove dash, and here I can use capital I and set it equal to, and we can import this in our JavaScript by using document dot query selector, and here we can paste the name of our class, which was weather icon, which we just copied. So now the weather icon is stored in this variable. So we will copy this and paste it here in our if function weather icon dot src. So src basically means source. Now we are updating its source, and source set equal to double quotes, and in these double quotes we will write exact file path in which our image is stored. So my images are in the same path but in this images folder. So I will write here images slash clouds, and the file name was cloud.png. png is basically extension, and here we will write our double quotes. So you can see in this images folder I have here a clouds.png. So now I will add other images for other weather conditions. The method is going to be same, but here we will use else if. So here we have added different images for different weather conditions. So now let's save it and let's come back to our weather app. So now let's enter a city here, for example New York. So search. So now the weather image is also updated, and all of the other information like temperature, humidity and wind speed is also updated. Now let's add Sargodha, and now it is showing clear in Sargodha, and we can search for Mumbai. So it is actually showing here for Mumbai. So I am using old name of Mumbai, so but it got it right. By the way, now our image is updating according to the weather condition. So now I don't need this console, and I also don't need these openweather.org tabs, so I will close them. So now let's refresh this website once. You can see all of this information is showing here by default, so we need to hide this information. The information should only show according to the city which we search, and if we don't search there should be no information here. So for that let's come back. So we were using here a weather class. So here we have a class weather. So let's copy this class and come back to our CSS file and add this weather class here, and we will edit it a little bit, and we will turn off its display. For that we will use a display and set it to none. So when we apply display none, it will be hidden. So we will show it later by using JavaScript. So now if we come back to our weather app, you can see by default we will only have this box and search button, but when I will enter a city name here, it will not show any information. So for that we have to make that display changes in our JavaScript. So now let's come back. So let's come back to our script file. So we will remove this console and come back here just under our weather conditions for images, and here we will add document dot query selector. Here we will use our weather class, so double quotes dot weather. So we will change its display type from here. So for that we will use dot style, and in style we will change it display. For that we will write dot display, set it equal to, and we will set it equal to block, and here we have changed it to block, so it will show as a block. Now let's save it and come back to our weather app. Now if I search a city name here, let's search Delhi. Now you can see by searching the weather information of our city is showing. So now let's test it again, refresh, and here I will write Paris. And now you can see this is showing weather information according to the all cities. So now we have to add one more feature in this. Suppose if we add a wrong city name here, so search. So in this case, you can see the name of city is showing here undefined, and the temperature, humidity, and wind information is showing from our previous search. So we want that if we enter a invalid city name, in that case it should show us a error and it should display a text which says invalid city name or something like that. So to add that, let's come back to our HTML, and after this card class div element, add a div element here. So we will make a div by class name error, press tab, and here we will add one message by using a p element. The message will basically say invalid city name. If we come back, now you can see this message is showing here. Add CSS for this error. So let's copy this clause from here and come back to our CSS and add it here in our CSS file and edit it. First of all, we will using a text align and set it to left. Then we will use margin left and set it value to 10 pixels. And let's set it font size. It is going to be 18 pixels. And we will also give it a margin from top. And for that, we will use margin top and give it a margin of 20 pixels. So let's save it, come back to our app. So it is showing here. So this error message is showing again by default. So we have to hide it. It should only display in that case when user will enter a wrong city name. So let's come back and let's set its display to none. So it will be hidden here. Our error message is gone, but why this weather information is showing here? Because while pasting the error class here, I by mistake removed none from here. Save it, and now let's back. So the default weather information is gone. Now it's okay. So let's search any wrong city name here, but it is not displaying the error here. So let's come back to our code. So again we will show the error message using our JavaScript. So let's come back to our script. So after this async function, we will write here some lines to check first response. For that, we will use here if condition, and in brackets we will write if response dot status, because the error message in our console was showing in status. You can always check it by going to inspect and then go to console, and we will check if it is equal to, and the error code for it was 404. So our weather information give us error 404 if the city name is invalid. So we are checking if in response the weather information is sending us error 404. For that we will define its functionality here. So in this case we want to show a error message and hide our weather information. So for that we will write here document dot query selector, and here we will pass name of our class which was dot error. So basically this dot denotes class, and this was our class name error, and we want to change its display. For that we will write dot style dot display and set it equal to block. So this error message will be displayed if the wrong city name is entered in our search box. So let's duplicate it. So if the city name is wrong, in that case we will setting our weather to none. It means if we are going to show the error because the user entered the city name wrong, not display the weather information by setting the display to none. So here we have added if, so here we will add else for it, And in this else, we will basically show the all of the information. So else case will only run if the city name is correct. So let's add all of this remaining code into this else condition. So we will copy all of this code till here, and actually we will cut it and paste in this else block. So paste it here. So when the response status is not equal to 404, in only that case it will fetch all of this information and show our weather information. Otherwise, if the city name is not correct, it will only show the error message and it will not show our weather information. So now just do this last thing. Copy this display line for our error, copy it and paste it just before display line for our weather. So paste it here and set it to none. If it is showing already the weather information, the error message will be none. So let's save it and come back to our weather app. Now let's add a wrong city name here. So search it. You can see it is only showing us the error message. So let's search for a city, Lahore. You can see it is showing us the weather information about Lahore. If we search about Mumbai, it is showing us information about the weather of Mumbai. If we search here Paris, if we search here London, so it is updating all of the weather information, including its weather image, temperature, city name, humidity, and wind speed. So finally we have completed this weather app using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I hope this video was helpful for you. And all of the images, PNGs, and our source code, you can get all of these things by using the link in the description for free. Please give us a thumb up by hitting that like button and also consider subscribing our channel if you have already not subscribed.